To absolutely no one's surprise, the View is not happy about Trump's second inauguration or an inauguration at all to do with Donald J. Trump. You know, they've been talking so much hate over him for the last forever that I guess we shouldn't be expecting anything different. But I guess I just thought maybe a little bit there'd be a little sense of maturity, but there wasn't. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to Resist the Mainstream because it ensures to YouTube that you're enjoying our videos. And in turn, they'll continually show up in your feed and they'll push it out to more people. I'm Titus. Let's get into this video.
Yesterday, did something happen? Did something happen yesterday?
Yes, it was Martin Luther King Day.
Yes. That's a good one. Well, in addition to Martin Luther King Day, a certain person, Donald Trump, was sworn back into the White House as the 47th president. Now, high-profile Democrats were in attendance along with Republican officials who all sat behind big tech oligarchs with the best seats in the House. Yeah. Trump gave a preview of what we're in for the next 4 years. Take a look.
My recent election is a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. We will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. It will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be.
There was honestly not one bad thing said. Honestly, the only thing that he said there that I think was actually something that they would even oppose is the two gender thing, but that's like because they're woke and stupid. We all know there's only two genders, but let's see what they have to say.
So if he's sending all the criminals away, where is he going? And what better way to unify
Greenland.
the country than by ripping families apart and punishing anyone who doesn't fall in line? So I watched the whole thing because I have a certain masochistic streak in me.
You do.
What about the rest of you?
Yeah, I watched it. Just the speech part. A lot of the revelry. It was hard because this is not someone I voted for, so I did not feel like sitting around and watching it. But the speech itself, I remember when it was done, my first reaction was, you know, what is this country he speaks of? Because I immediately couldn't reconcile the way I see the country and the people and how it is right now and where he saw it. He didn't say carnage, but he said carnage pretty much in everything else. Do you remember the reference from his first inauguration when he said carnage? I just kind of felt this dark feeling. And then he had this kind of martyr-like, you guys are downtrodden and almost irreparable. You can't save this place, but I can. And it had this godlike complex without any Jesus qualities. It was kind of like a juxtaposition. But
that is such baloney. That is so disingenuous. The whole time he's been stating who's responsible for the state of the country, never us. Always you, mainstream media, the government, the people that are actually doing things to benefit themselves and couldn't care less about the American people. That is who he's been fighting for. That's who he's been claiming to fight for. And that's why we voted for him, because that's what we do. You vote for people that are going to make change in the government the way that you want it to be done. It's so stupid that every politician ever is a godlike figure. You're an idiot. And you're so, I can't stand these people. And their unwillingness to be objective. And they're allowing their personal feelings to completely enrapture every point of view ever, every angle, every whatever, it doesn't matter. It's so annoying. Grow up.
I was really disappointed, not surprised, just to be clear, but disappointed that there wasn't one kind thing to say about the outgoing administration. Because even...
Au contraire, he was merciless to the outgoing.
That's my point. That's my point. Even if you find it really hard, there could have been, they spent the morning together. They had a welcome tea. President Biden and Vice President Harris did everything we all criticized Donald Trump throughout the door. They did all the traditions of handing off the baton, and he couldn't even muster up one small thing to say thank you for kindly welcoming us back or something. It was it was a kind of a gut punch of sorts.
Well, that's not who he is, right? I mean, he's not a statesman. That's not who he is. And I decided to protect my peace and celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day yesterday. So I did not watch the inauguration. My sorority sisters of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated had a service day in Harlem yesterday, and I enjoyed that. I went to Buffalo Wild Wings and watched Notre Dame, unfortunately not be victorious, but I went with a bunch of my law school buddies, and we ate wings, and thank you, Tony, who's the manager there, for making me feel good. But the one thing that I did think about was the hypocrisy of having a man be inaugurated to be president on the same day as we commemorate MLK. And that same man saying that he was going to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
The irony of it.
The irony of it, because Martin Luther King not only wanted racial equality, he wanted economic equality. Yeah. And that is something that people tend to miss. And I want to remind people.
You know what Martin Luther King Jr. wanted? Us to be judged by not the color of our skin, but of the content of our character. He did not want us to be judged by the color of our skin, but the content of our character. And yet all you want to do, and this literally, DEI is contradicting what it is she wanted. But you don't want to acknowledge that. That's actually, if anything, it's fitting that Donald Trump is being inaugurated on this day, or on that day. Because it proved that MLK's dream of us being treated by the content of our character, what's on the inside, what we're capable of doing on the inside, that should supersede how we look on the outside. But your dumb, stupid butt can't comprehend that reality.
Well, that he said that Black Americans deserved reparations for the injustices they faced. He argued that reparations were a form of justice, in fact, not charity. And he said, quote, "It's all right to tell a man to lift himself by his own bootstraps, but it is cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps."
Yeah.
And so in thinking about that, and Donald Trump saying things that this country would be a meritocracy, you're talking about a man who didn't become the president of the United States because of merit. He had no political experience whatsoever. He had no business experience. He was given everything that he has. He is a legacy hire. He is, if anything, a DEI hire. Didn't earn it.
You're just making stuff up, huh? He doesn't have any bits. See, and this is how you lose credibility. This is literally how you lose all credibility, because you say he doesn't have any business experience. The man, if he did get $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $10 million from his dad, he turned that into $10 billion, $5 billion, however much he's worth. You know how hard that is to do? And yet you discredit him because you don't like him. You're fake. You're a phony. And honestly, not every president, but so many presidents have failed because they're just politicians and they don't know how to actually run an economy or do anything like that. We all have the right to run for office if we want to. The merit was he told the people what he was going to do, what he planned to do, what he knew to do, and who to bring around him to help implement things he didn't know how to do. And American people saw that, they heard that, and they said, yeah, I want that guy. He did win through merit. What are you talking about? And then you got in this, this is his second term. He already was president, so it's certainly merit-based this time. Didn't earn it. Oh, she just says, F you to all the Americans. Screw you. We don't care. I don't care what you wanted because I don't like them.
And so, those were just some of the things that I was thinking about.
So okay. I watched it. I always watched the inauguration. I was covering it for CNN as well. But I was watching and thinking it's time to retire the phrase normalizing Donald Trump. Donald Trump is normalized, whether you like it or not. 75 million people voted for him. He is now as much a part of American history.
76.
In history as George Bush, Barack Obama, and any other two-term president. And I was shocked by the imagery of he left 4 years ago in disgrace. He left, barely anyone showed up when he announced his reelection 2 years ago. And now he came back to D.C. like a conquering king. He had the biggest titans of industry there. He had celebrities. He had fashion designers. He had Democrats and every former president there. And I think that it's a moment to take note of why he won and the reasons that he did, but also Democrats are not a footnote in this. They had 4 years to beat him. They had the chance to make a case against him. 4 years ago, they had the White House, the House, the Senate, and Silicon Valley. Now they have none of those above. My posture is this. You guys know my criticisms of Donald Trump. They remain. I'm going to pray for the president. I'm going to thank him when he does things that are good, like the hostage deal. I commend him. I am grateful for that. And I'm going to call it out when he does things that are reckless and dangerous. Getting the Israeli hostages and American hostages. And I'm going to call it out when he does things that are...
You're talking about Trump now?
Yes, that are...
I thought it was Biden who's been negotiating.
Yeah, both worked in coordination. Well, and finally, and I'm going to call it out when he does something that I think is dangerous and reckless, like we're going to get to pardoning dangerous January 6th. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I was in Guatemala. I was there for a funeral, which reminded me of how frail life is, and not to waste time on doing things that bring you no joy and make you infuriated, like watching her swearing in.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch a single second of it. I did read the speech, and I read a lot about it, and I saw pictures. And when I was reading the speech as I was coming back, first of all, I'm going to pray for America. I'm also going to say, he calls himself a peacemaker. He wants to invade Panama, people. Panama is our ally. They haven't done a damn thing. Everything he is saying about Panama, and it struck me because I was in the region. Okay, that region is full of crazy people who don't like the United States, like Cuba, like Nicaragua, like Venezuela. The country of Panama is our longest, strongest ally in that region. Everything he is saying about the Chinese running the Panama Canal is a lie. It is run by the Panama Canal Authority. So that brought back that he is a liar in chief. That brought back that he's not going to be a peacemaker. I mean, this guy is already in verbal war with Canada, Greenland, Denmark. By the way, they want to take over Canada and Greenland. He can't even stand in 20-degree weather. Has somebody explained to me?
Wait a minute.
I do think we have...
What? How does that correlation make any sense? I don't want to be standing in the freezing cold, but I'm the commander-in-chief of the country and I can take over other countries. Like, he doesn't have to go do it himself. That was the stupidest parallel correlation you tried to make. These people, they just want to hate. You're not giving constructive criticism. You're not giving any sort of actual reasons for why people should be fearful, for why this is a bad decision. If anything, this one girl had the best take with the pink dress. Like, okay, I'm going to praise him when he does good things and correct him when he does bad things. And we should all do that as Americans. I don't agree with what Trump says, but this is a way to go about it. And you guys are just literally angry, bitter old cat ladies, a little seems like.
To be careful to not take the bait with Trump and always we take things literally that he says, cover him honestly, but I don't know that I think he's going to invade the Panama Canal. When there's an order to DOD and we've got Marines headed there, let's call it out. But often
who's
these
he
things,
gonna order at
often
DOD?
these
Peter
things are become distractions from things that deserve more.
There's no generals to push back. That's one of the problems. There are no guardrails on Trump right now.
No.
There is nobody in that cabinet. There's no John Kelly. There's no General Mattis. There is nobody to push back on him when he calls and he says something absolutely insane. They've got both houses of Congress. They've got the Supreme Court in his pocket. And so if Democrats want to get some guardrail, get out of your funk, stand up, protest, call out the abuses of power, and get ready to at least retake one house of Congress in the next 2 years.
If the Democrats keep doing what they have been doing over the last 8 years, we're just going to continually be red. Might even turn New York and California red, and then you're really screwed. But honestly, at this point, do it. Keep doing this. You're not helping anyone but us. So whatever, it's annoying. It's frustrating to see that people can't just grow up and be mature and like try and actually see the good in each side. I have seen good in some people, even people in, or at least good talking points, good points of view, even a little bit from some of the people on the View at certain times. But they just can't leave their echo chamber. They refuse to be objective. It's all about my emotional feelings about an individual and not a lot based on fact. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, guys, comment down in the thoughts below. I want to know what you guys are thinking, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.